All
And
right,
you
what's up,
Celtics
guys?
fans were worried.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay, guys. Guys at the Garden are getting set up, and we're just getting started as the Celtics come back with let's call it a near perfect first half.
Okay. All right. I was going to say,
Near,
John, I don't know where your enthusiasm's at. I didn't know if you were as impressed.
the
Okay.
second half was real white knuckle time, so it was stressful because it was like just put them away, and they got
Right.
really stagnant on offense. But they got the big buckets when they needed them, and the defense was great all game long. So it was just the second half was like a little like this because you just didn't want them to creep back in.
Yeah, that's true.
But close to perfect first half. Lots to talk about, mostly positive. They survived without Marcus Smart, a surprise scratch. He was supposed to.
Huge.
The thought was he was playing, and then 5 o'clock they rule him out. It was like which meant Derek White started, and Derek White was just freaking awful.
Man.
And they survived a game in which they only played 7 guys. Tice got knocked out of the rotation, which I think was smart because he was really hurting them last game. And White was brutal, and they still pulled it together. Grant Williams gets another brownie, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good call.
Seriously awesome. So I don't know. You were there, Josue. Your takeaways are kind of what we saw. And again, like I said, is almost perfect first half. If we're going to quibble about something, a little too reliant on the three, but they were really working the ball to get those shots in the first half.
Yeah, exactly, John. I'm glad you said that because I think that's the difference. I mean, those opportunities were there for the Celtics, whereas it was in the flow of the offense. It wasn't Milwaukee challenging them to take those three. And also they were attacking. They never let the Bucks settle into the defense, which is exactly what you wanted to see out of them in the first quarter. But that shit carried over into the second quarter and into halftime. And you're thinking, okay, well, Milwaukee's gonna punch back here. Let's see if the Celtics can survive this. And of course they did, but it didn't feel good at first, right? I mean, it didn't feel like they were going to be able to it felt like the Bucks were going to pull within 5 or 6. Like, what was it, 2 for 7 to start the second half? Giannis getting downhill, to get into the free throw lines. I mean, people can say what they want about the referees, which I think they didn't do the Celtics any favors because of all the stoppage time and looking over plays. And sure, that certainly helped the Bucks in the fourth quarter, but you got to give credit to the Celtics because they buckled down again defensively. I thought Grant Williams was excellent. Al Horford was tremendous, I thought.
Yeah.
We joked about it in the first half, in our group chat about Jaylen. I'm like, this is great for Jaylen, 20-plus points in the first quarter, but there's no way he's even going to flirt with 40 points. And you knew that going into the second half. And you got the sense that Jason Tatum's going to get into a rhythm and find his offense the way he did, which was great for the Celtics. But, man, these other guys stepping up, man. What a confidence boost for these guys because they were getting it done on both ends, The tremendous defensive stops by Grant Williams on Giannis alone. I mean, in that first half, Al Horford all over the place. I talked about him on both ends. But, man, what was that? That's another double-double for Al. And I
honestly,
they defended in the last 4 outings.
They defended Giannis even better than the numbers because honestly, he had 11 fouls. Like, I mean, it was.
I saw you tweeted out 9, but yeah, okay.
It was ridiculous. I mean, even Van Gundy said it in the broadcast. He was like, I guess the refs are just going to allow Giannis to just run over people and not call it. Like they just decided we're not going to call those charges anymore. Every single one, including the White challenge, was a charge. And then again at Grant in the end, it was that's all he did. And the Celtics played him perfectly. He had another one on Rob that wasn't called, shuffling their feet and staying in front of him the whole time and making him run through them. He could have fouled out of this game in the third quarter if it was a clean whistle. It was a friggin' disgrace. I hate talking about refs in a loss. I don't feel as bad. I don't feel as bad talking about it in a win because it's not an excuse. The referee, the officiating, and the way they called Giannis was freaking horrible. The Celtics played him perfect. And I loved this game that they didn't switch and didn't help, and they just played him straight up. And I like that because that's what you've got. Between Grant, Al, and Rob, you've got bodies that can stay, that can keep him in front. And really all he can do is try to power through you. As soon as you
Right.
go, if you switch on him or you double, he had, a zillion assists last game, kicking it out to shooters, but you can't put the small guys on him either. He ate up Brown a couple times. He just goes over the top of those guys. You need those big bodies that can friggin' absorb the contact and keep him in front of them. And those guys were awesome. Grant has been awesome. Grant did it. Jrue Holiday couldn't get past Grant.
Grant made it look easy.
Holiday couldn't get past him on switches.
Yeah.
Grant was keeping everybody in front of him. And again, Grant probably drew 3 fouls on Giannis alone that weren't called. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
but I think you put it perfectly though. That absorbing the contact, staying in front of him. Matt, like that's exactly what Grant and Al Horford were doing, and that was driving him crazy. What was it, 5 missed, field goals in that first quarter to start off? He couldn't find a rhythm, and it was like Milwaukee just kept feeding it to him, like save us, like make this stop, and he couldn't. I also think that elbow thing that he's doing, like there's a big difference between slashing through the paint, Euro step, using your 1-2 steps the right way, and slicing defenders, or slicing in between defenders to get to the rim. And there's a difference between that and just powering your elbow through people. I think that's something that the referees have to keep an eye on. There were a couple of 50-50 plays, I thought. One that stands out in particular was the Jaylen Brown in transition. I know it sounded what's up, guys? I know it sounded I know it looked really bad, but when you see the replay a few more times, Jaylen may have been moving one of his right foot, when he absorbed that charge. But there were other instances where people the Celtics just planted their feet, took the charge at the right time, and they just weren't calling it. That's something that the refs have to keep an eye on. And second, this is something
hard head, Jimmy.
You
guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Jimmy. Hold on one second though.
Josue's in the middle. Josue's dropping science right now, so just hold on 1 second.
Can you guys hear me though?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool. Josue, you have the floor. Let's go! All right, Josue, you have the floor.
Well, I mentioned this earlier. This whole we don't know who called it, so let's just try to figure it out and give both teams a free timeout. That has to stop, and it extends beyond this best of 7 series between the Celtics and the Bucks. Did you guys see the ending of Game 1 between the Warriors and the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
Man, the last play of the game, they all looked at each other, shrugged their shoulders, and they did a jump ball with like 10 seconds left to go. Like, luckily, the Golden State Warriors capitalized. Right, do-over.
Yeah.
Luckily, things, the basketball guys, stepped in and made sure that the Warriors won that. But we can't. The NBA has to figure this thing out because we can't have that happen again.
Jimmy, this comment's in honor of you, buddy.
That can't happen at the end of one of these games. That could sway a win towards the Bucks or towards the Celtics. That could ultimately decide the ending of this one. So, look, I'm not one to pick on the referees, but this whole let's just look it over type thing, they need to figure this thing out and try to get it right on the first try. But Jimmy was in the building as well, and he was taking in the game from the spectator section. So, man,
what's up, hot guy?
Yeah.
Did you walk in with that hat on, or did you put it on after the first quarter? Which one?
I didn't bring the hard hat tonight. The hard hat was safe and sound here. I didn't want it to get confiscated, stolen. I didn't want it not get allowed in.
Jimmy didn't want to get clowned. He didn't want to get recognized. He wanted to
I was trying to go, under the cover of darkness. This first game back in the Garden for me since before COVID started. So I got to say,
oh man, that must have been wild.
It's good to be back. It's my second home that I've been missing, and the Celtics. Listen, I'll be completely honest. I had some dark thoughts when the Marcus Smart news came out. I went to a dark place, like I'm sure many of us did. But the Celtics went to work tonight, and that's why the hard hat's on. They went to work, undermanned, understaffed. I think Ime 7-man rotation tonight, which is unbelievable. Basically
6 essentially with.
I knew you were going to say that. Have you guys already talked about Derek White?
With Derek White being a negative. I took a drive-by swipe at him, but we haven't gone in on him yet.
We're not going to start.
We're not starting there.
Have we mentioned Jaylen Brown yet on the show? I know we're almost 10 minutes in.
Not really.
Listen, Jaylen Brown tonight.
No, we did.
He's the starter. He's a starter. Tatum's the closer. Typically, Jalen's the starter. And they just got so much from Jaylen Brown tonight. He set the tone early. He really put the Bucks on their heels. See you, Josue.
Thank God you're here just in time for Josue's Wi-Fi to start crapping out.
I'm surprised he even made it on. You told me I might be the first one on. I was like, oh boy. But no, the way Jaylen Brown came out tonight was, vintage Jaylen Brown. We've seen it many, many times before. Hitting everything. put what's his name, Grayson Allen on his ass tonight. That was sweet.
Oh.
That was such a nice sight to see. But he was hot. He was hot from the first quarter all the way into
hot right now.
into halftime.
Yeah.
So hot right now, Jaylen Brown. And Celtics did listen. Second half was a grinded out second half. It was slow. There was a lot of fouls. There was some reviews. It was tough to get into any sort of flow. But I got to give the Celtics credit for not letting the Bucks come all the way back. They let him inch back in, but it's the NBA. You're not going to jump out to a 25-point lead and hold that for 48 minutes. So I give the Celtics credit for keeping them at a far enough away distance where I didn't see any fans jumping from the balcony tonight. So that was good. I was worried. I was worried early in the fourth. I was like, here we go. But no,
yeah.
I got to give credit for the way they played tonight, start to finish. With Marcus Smart out, man, they showed some balls tonight. Everything we said after game one that we needed to see, toughness, execution, ball movement, attacking the rim, all those things they did. And yes,
not enough at the rim though, Jimmy. Again,
not enough at the rim. No, okay, that's
points
fair,
in the paint were again like 46-20, and
they got easier. I thought they got easier buckets at the rim.
I know, but they have something like the threes versus twos in this series are like 93 attempts to 70 something attempts, threes to twos. So live by the three, die by the three.
Like this, John, Giannis isn't taking threes. He's a guy that's just going to drive to the hoop. I mean, this is the most boring.
No, I'm saying the Celtics have taken 90 something threes and 70 something twos.
Oh, I thought you were comparing.
That's bad. A lot
of that 53s in the first.
They got to figure out a way to get to like Tatum again. This is what bothered me, and I said it last game. Get to a spot and just rise up and shoot. Stop trying to dribble into traffic, dribble into doubles. The longer you take, the more the Bucks defense sets up. That plays to their strengths. Don't do that. You have to play with pace against this team. When Tatum went into ISO and then everything got bad there for a little bit. And thank goodness they hit like some timely shots, got a couple offensive rebounds. Yeah. But that's the only thing you can't do. In the first half, the ball was whipping around. And look what happened late with Tatum. He kind of drives into somewhere, doesn't like where he is, passes it, relocates, gets the ball back and scores. That's it, man. Just keep moving. Move the ball and keep moving without the ball. When they get off script, they get ugly.
I thought they did more of that tonight than they did in game one. In game one,
but the first half was beautiful. They did all of that. Then they just locked down and they got so stagnant. The pace slowed way down, and that's thankfully the defense was so good and Milwaukee wasn't knocking down their shots. That they just kind of kept them at arm's length all game. 25-point cushion is nice, but yeah, it never got to scary territory.
Not quite. I mean, I think everyone was shooting texts around like, oh boy, like hold your breath here for the next few minutes.
They just had to score some. That was the thing.
They had to go on that run.
It was pretty obvious how the refs were going to call this one. Giannis was going to be able to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. He was going to get to the line. I got to give the fans credit tonight since I was one. I thought they got into Giannis's head a little bit, the free throw line with some of those,
They did.
Yep, up to 10. The fans were loud tonight, Josue. I don't have anything to compare it to, but I can imagine they were much louder tonight than they were Sunday. They were really loud. Really loud.
Urgency.
Good runs. Celtics gave them reasons to get up and get loud. So, talking about Jaylen already, but there was some, Grant tonight was huge. Grant's my brownie.
Gave him the brownie already. So, with all due respect to Brownie, I gave it to Grant again.
Yeah. Grant, I think Grant deserved it tonight. Some timely buckets from Grant.
It was awesome, man.
Strong defense on Giannis. My dad said it on the walkout.
First half goes to Brown.
Can't believe this is the same Grant. We're talking about Grant in this way that it's the same guy as from last year. And we're like, yeah, Grant, shut down Giannis tonight. Obviously didn't shut him down, but you know what I'm saying? Like Grant did his thing tonight. It's like this is the same.
Yeah, Grant. He shut down Jokic. He shut down Giannis. No big deal.
Yeah, like this guy's the kryptonite here.
The guy just drops MVPs. That's what he does. He just stacks bodies. Stacks MVP
easy.
bodies.
Don't let it get. He'll get wind of this and he'll start coming up with.
Dude, he's amazing. Amazing at it.
He was. And it's not just on the court. He's got mind games. He plays little mind games out there too. With guys. He's smart. He's smarter than a lot of the other guys out there. So he knows how to get in their heads. I think a little bit too.
He was amazing on Giannis and everything. So friggin' good.
And he kept his composure out there. Again, I thought, Tatum, obviously, you guys all saw it. He got teed up. I texted you guys in the beginning of the game. I was like, the Celtics are not happy with number 39, that referee. I forget his name. But
yeah, he sucked.
Came back in the second half. Like,
that guy sucked.
That guy sucked, man. He just had no control.
He was the one.
Like, yeah. He had no respect. The players just no respect for him.
He looks like a guy who knows what he's going to call before the game starts. He's that kind of ref. I'm looking out for this, and I'm just calling it every single time. And Milwaukee knew it.
Number 39.
And they sold out on their chart. They sold out, and they were getting calls.
Celtics were getting frustrated, and rightfully so on some of them. Like
that guy sucked.
The charge calls were bad. Yeah, just a couple of stupid touch fouls on Giannis. It was like, dude, trust me, Giannis doesn't need you to call this for him. Like, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna make this shot. Just relax, buddy. But yeah, Tatum just got too fed up at one point, and he got the tee, and he kept jawing at him after the fact. He stared him down. I was hoping somebody would pull him aside and get him out of there. So,
but look at Grant, man, 21 points, 6 of 9 threes, and that's
huge.
And that wasn't even the good part of his game. It was the friggin' defense was unreal. Like, Grant gets 2 brownies for this one.
I was gonna say Grant needs something more than he gets. Like
he needs a whole brownie sundae.
Brownie's meant for like the guy behind the guy sort of.
Yeah, it's like a 7th player award sort of thing,
Grant gets the whatever, the whole enchilada tonight. We're coming up at Cinco de Mayo here. I'm gonna give Grant the whole enchilada tonight.
Yes.
That's what he gets. It's my award, the whole enchilada award. So, it was fun to be back.
Brought to you by Hellofresh.
Unless it's not.
No, I'll give those guys.
John's like now we got to make it a thing now.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we got to.
Sure, why not? HelloFresh, go get some.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Right there, HelloFresh. It's the playoffs. You need 16 wins to win it all.
Hey, you got an off night coming up. Let's go.
HelloFresh. Celtics have 9 wins to go. While you're watching the Celtics collect their final 9 wins on their way to a championship, go get some HelloFresh. HelloFresh.com/playoff16. 16 W's is what it takes, guys.
That's what it takes for the title, guys.
Use that code playoff16 up to 16 free meals and 3 gifts. Go get some. Everybody at the Garden Report got some. Yum. It was good.
I'm gonna make some tomorrow. I'm gonna do the pasta tomorrow.
Yep.
Wait, are we getting more? You think?
Would you want more?
we'll talk about it.
I'm just gonna keep checking the mail. That's the beauty of HelloFresh. You just never know. They might just show up at your doorstep.
No, when I saw that box from HelloFresh, I was pumped.
Yeah, so that was good stuff. HelloFresh. So please, if you're gonna do it, and honestly, it's a phenomenal deal. It's just meal kits. You'd get it, recipe card, done. No prep, no slicing. You just friggin' put it together, make delicious food, a home cooked meal.
Prep. Like mini prep, like while things are cooking.
Yeah,
but
you're fine.
Makes you look
easy as can be.
You look like you know what you're doing out there.
But you got to enter by going HelloFresh.com/playoff16. Please do that. Give us credit for it. Help support our sponsors. Keeps us bringing the content to you guys. Back to the game, guys. Again, Grant phenomenal. Jaylen came out flying. Then a little grabby with, we kind of always talk about like him. Those hot starts and then not being able to sustain it. He didn't score in the third quarter, dropped a couple in the fourth, but he's kind of grabbing at the hammy a little bit here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Big break between now and the next game, but this is annoying that this is a thing that could be there a little and kind of linger. It's just strange that he can't shake. It's strange he can't shake this thing.
I didn't see him.
He was ridiculous in the first quarter. I mean, ridiculous.
I didn't see him any less than what he typically is up there.
I was just going to say, John, you think it's a hamstring thing?
He keeps grabbing at it. He grabbed at it 2 or 3 times in the second half.
I mean,
so I don't know. And then he said
he's
talking about getting his body right in the post game and stuff like that. So it's something on his
11,
mind.
11 wins. They need 11 wins, not 9. We said 9.
Oh, yeah, they have 5. They need 11. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. That's a homeschool thing.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that sounds, no wonder. I was like,
9 won't get you
really good.
9 will make it interesting, though. 9 will be a lot of fun, but it won't quite get you there.
If they get 9, they're in the finals. So we're happy.
Yeah. We're having a good time, regardless.
And then you won't even remember. You'll be like, how many was it? And be like, 16.
Yeah.
11 more wins to go for Banner 18.
11 more. All the math dorks that are on the show tonight, they're counting wins.
I didn't even realize I said 9. But yeah,
Stupid
11.
Advanced, these advanced stats. It's like all these advanced stats now that we got to learn. Wins.
Yeah, we'll take the final. We'll take the finals run. Take the finals run in 16 free meals, and we'll throw in a Jimmy homeschool math tutor lesson as well.
What were we just talking about?
That's what people want.
Listen, Jaylen. Listen, honestly, John, it's the playoffs. I think everyone's dealing with something. Jaylen's is a little bit more obvious, I guess, at certain points.
What's funny is I'm actually really good at math, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, sure you are. Freaking communications
I'm
guy over there. Nobody who majors in communications.
Yeah, what are you, a unicorn? Right? Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
They don't make people like that.
No, they really don't.
Keep going.
I think Jaylen's going to be okay unless he re-injures it or injures it more. I think whatever level of pain he's dealing with right now, clearly he's good enough to go and good enough to play. I was shocked that Marcus Smart didn't play tonight, not because I'm nothing against Marcus Smart. I just thought that I'm
Greek. I invented math. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I underestimated how much pain he was. I figured, after game 1, I told Sherrod, I was like, oh, there's no way Marcus Smart misses this game. Like, he's going to play this game. Like, there's no questions asked.
I don't think anybody thought he was missing it.
I know. That's what I was stunned. I mean, so that's obviously going to be a serious pain that he's going through, or he's super limited. So these next 3 days are going to be massive for him, more than Jaylen. Jaylen can play through whatever he's going through. Marcus definitely needed, clearly needs a week, minimum to get back to where he was.
Yeah, but also you got to remember too, Jimmy, this is the longest break they'll have for the foreseeable future. So, I mean, it was a risk for the Celtics to do it, but great given the how bad the injury was for Marcus, or the amount of the pain tolerance he was going through, I think it was the right call. I mean, it's easy to say that now because the Celtics won, but also you're gonna need him to finish out this series. And if you're the Celtics, you're looking at this thing like, hey, we gotta, if we're gonna do it, it's gonna be a long series, and we gotta make sure Marcus is good to go. So it was good for him to get that rest, heading into Milwaukee. But at the same time, I mean, you're gonna keep an eye on him, and hopefully it doesn't hinder his performance whatsoever in Game 3.
It was risky. I mean, it paid off, and good that it did. But man, are they thin at that position? They're just thin overall. I mean, 7 guys tonight, basically 6. Pritchard was actually a negative tonight, plus minus. If you want to think about that, he was a -2 tonight. No offense to Pritchard. I mean, he played as hard as he could out there, but they are just thin at that guard spot, man. Marcus Smart needs to get healthy and get healthy soon, because they got away with one tonight, but. Don't expect the Bucks to just go out there and play the same style of basketball in Game 3. They've got 3 days to figure this out. They're going to be home, and you're going to need all hands on deck. The 7-man rotation is about as thin can be in a playoff series against a physical team like Milwaukee, who I said it earlier, Josue. I think you may have been Brockton Wi-Fi'd at the time, but everything we said the Celtics needed to do in Game 1 in terms of physicality, toughness, all that stuff they did tonight, but that takes a lot out of you. I mean, those guys are all feeling it right now. So you need a guy like Marcus Smart to get back out there. I mean, that's not what you mean.
Yes, and if they add Marcus Smart to this, it would be 7 + 1, which equals 8. 8 players that they would play in the game.
Hold on, carry the one.
Which would be great.
8 would be better than 7.
8 would be great. Yeah. So anyway, you need Marcus back. I cannot believe, and again, it was Jaylen hot shooting, friggin' amazing defense on Giannis, and then just knocking down all their open looks, build up that huge lead. It's amazing they were able to win without Marcus tonight, and with Derek White just being such a zero on offense, and also Pritchard coming in as an emergency guy because White was in foul trouble after that stupid 4th foul. The take foul on Giannis knocks him out in the 3rd quarter. And Pritchard was close to his, not whatever. Pritchard was fine. He hung in there. Pritchard was Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard was Pritchard. That's what you're gonna. Yeah,
Pritchard was Pritchard.
You can't fault him. But no. I'm getting a little concerned about Derek White. We got to spend some time on him. And maybe he goes off and does something well, and 16, 17 points in Game 3. But it's still worth mentioning at this point because
you just can't go scoreless if you're one of 7 people who played tonight.
I mean, also Zannis, this is carrying on from the first round. I mean, it's easy to overlook his offense when you swept, after sweeping Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, that's the last thing people are going to point out. But I mean, now that it's another round, we're 2 games in, and he's still in this offensive funk. I mean,
it's crazy
he shot
because
22% or whatever it was from behind the arc in that first round matchup. He's shooting well below 40, closer to 30%. And then here we go, tonight with 0 for
and he
0 for
stopped
6,
taking them.
0 for 4, and he stopped taking them. I mean, look, he shot 6. He had 6 attempts in game 1. Same thing tonight, and believe it or not, game 1 was his best performance that we've seen in the 6 games of the postseason. So he's got to turn this thing around.
And the
Celtics
Bucks
need him.
The Bucks are pressuring him, taking the ball up the court. And then leaving him alone as soon as he crosses half court. It's horrible.
And then he steps out of bounds.
It's horrible. And not just not shooting. How many times did he airmail these loopy floating passes to people and make these really difficult catches? He was, in addition to his turnovers, he almost turned it over 2 or 3 other times. He's just really not sure what he's supposed to do there. And I know the Bucks pack the paint. So when he does get into the lane there, just really not much for him to do. He can't get up and over people, and that he just doesn't have that floater game down right now. So there's almost nowhere on the court he can score from at this point, which means he's just got to be better at, driving and kicking.
Get to the line or something.
Or get to the line. But he's in no man's land right now offensively. You cannot be a goose egg.
Yeah, I mean,
and again,
he still moves the ball around well. I mean, he's still
sure.
He does all those things that everyone wants to say, about. But at the end of the day, the point of the game is to score more points than the other team. And if he's giving you a 0, like you said, John, with a team that's only playing 7 guys, tonight it's hard to say you can't, because they did win by 20 whatever, and he did. So in that sense, sure, he can, but it's certainly not something you want to get in the habit of doing. You want to be able to depend on these guys, not have to get 20 points from Jaylen Brown in the first quarter, and not have to get 30 from Tatum all the time.
You can't be a 0. You can't be a guy. You can't be a guy the other team is not worried about at all. Because it really messes with your lineups, particularly when you have Rob out there.
He was passing up shot. I mean, I saw him in the second half. He was definitely something he was thinking
guys,
about.
we get it. He does other things. We're literally talking about his inability to score. We get it. Okay? Please, we get it. He does other things. He plays defense. Oh my God. Well, if you knew ball, we get it. He does other stuff. But he can't be a 0 is all we're saying. You can't be a 0.
Right.
Yeah. And it'd be different if he was a 15 assist guy who's constantly had the ball in his hands, but he's not. He's not actually that great at it. He's good at moving it and getting out of the way. It doesn't stick in his hands for a long time, which is
big hockey.
But it doesn't stick in his hands, which is good. He's not a guy who's going to sit there and dominate the ball and dribble the air out of it for 15 seconds. He's not one of those guys. That's great. He keeps it moving. And the team needs that, because sometimes they can stagnate. So you need a guy out there that's helping kind of keep and moving the ball around. That's all good. We get it. He can't be a 0 because Milwaukee's playing 10 feet off of him right now.
Bobby will say that he is making some of the other players in the court better when he's out there, as opposed to maybe what our old friend Dennis Schroeder would have been doing if he was a starting point guard tonight. I know that's what Bobby's going to say. I know that's what a lot of the commenters.
And there's no question on the Schroeder stuff. Yeah.
And it's correct. Of course, it's correct. So we get it, everybody. It's just, can we comment on the fact that
my God,
there was a big old.
He was plus 22. We got it. Right. We can still have this conversation, guys. We got it. So
anyway, there's still that, and that. Listen, we're not the only people.
So all we're saying is they survived with this, which is amazing. They survived with this effort.
Right. It's I think more and more media people and fans are starting to acknowledge it, that he needs to do a little bit more on the offensive end other than just do everything else well. So that's that. Again, we're not going to do 45 minutes on Derek White tonight, but we're talking about everybody on the team. There's only 7 guys who played.
7 guys played.
We can get to them all at some point.
7 guys played.
We can't talk about Tice. We can't talk about I mean, have we mentioned Horford? Because again, Horford is just Mr. Steady, Mr. Consistent.
Fountain of youth.
His defense tonight on Giannis, I thought, was exceptional at many points in the game.
He just looks so athletic.
He went out there at the end of the game. What I know,
he looks so athletic. It's incredible to me.
Whatever he's doing is working. Off the court, whatever his regime is. His workout, his diet. I mean, he's healthy. I used to be concerned about his knees, because that was the big thing. Years ago, he was out with knee pain, this, that. You don't even hear it. You don't even hear it mentioned. You don't even hear not even a thought that he might miss any time or be limited right now. I mean, this guy is going balls to the walls out there. He's playing like a guy who wants to win a championship at a later stage in his career, coming from a team that in Oklahoma City that told him to go home, basically, so that they could lose every single game possible. And 37 minutes tonight, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 4 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. Not his best 3-point shooting night by any stretch.
No, don't say that. Only nice things, Jimmy.
I just want to mention the fact that
Jimmy, just nice things.
It wasn't his best shooting night ever.
Just nice things.
But he does everything else well.
Jimmy, they won. You can't say anything negative. They won, Jimmy.
His defense tonight was awesome.
Horford was awesome.
Yeah. And he's the calm. He's kind of the calm presence out there when it needs to be. Get the guys back. The playoffs can be very intense, and he started at points tonight, and he was able to sort of gather guys a little bit and keep their composure. You don't want a Will Ferrell situation in old school at halftime. You know what I mean? So that's where Al Horford comes in.
Dude, Horford, it's we were talking about this stuff with Bobby beforehand, just like who had our victories, who had made good calls on players, bad calls.
Yeah.
Bobby, I know it was a little bit of like, I'm hanging a jersey. I've been hanging the Horford jersey, and he's one of my favorite players ever. Sort of fanism from Bobby, but we did not think, we thought Horford was a 15-minute a night guy coming in here.
We just thought that it was a way to get some production out of a player,
just something that wasn't Kemba,
like he was going to. Yeah,
he's integral.
Biggest. I mean, if I would have to go back and look at all the trades going into the season, I can't imagine that one isn't in the top 3 in terms of just Celtics winning it and the importance behind it and just everything. I mean, if they didn't do that trade, they're not playing this game today. They're not maybe not even in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's just an unbelievable trade by Brad. So that was one good trade that he made. I know we just talked about one that John hates, but that one was a good one. So we'll talk about the good ones.
We'll totally talk about the good stuff.
Talk about the good ones.
Talk about the good stuff. No, it's amazing. And like, I know I'm glad actually he took Tice out of there, because I just can't watch him literally just shove somebody with 2 hands and then the whistle blows and then he looks at the ref like, what are you talking about? Like, he's a step slow and he's just a foul machine right now. And I think Ime just saw it last game and is like, he's killing us. It was a pretty bold move to take Tice out of the rotation when you were already down Smart. He was clearly planning on doing it before the Smart news and he stuck with it. That's pretty ballsy. Like, we're just going to go. We're gonna go with the 2 guys we've got, and that's it.
Even when White ended up in foul trouble, and guys were picking up fouls, he was like, "No, we're just gonna keep doing this because it's working." You got to give Ime credit. And I said this was an Ime game after game 1. I was like, "This is an Ime game. I want to see what they come out and do differently." And I got to give credit to Ime. And I know Bobby probably will too, because that's his guy too. But this is a game where Ime had the guys ready to play hard. And coast to coast win. You don't see, we're in the second round of the playoffs. You don't see a lot of wins like this.
So you saw the stat, right? 23 point win tonight was a greater point total than the aggregate of the Nets series.
Celtics Nets, yeah.
18 points over the 4 games. That's what we were talking about. Like, the Nets was a sweep and everyone's like, oh, dominated. And like, it was like, I mean, they won all the close games, but it was a competitive 4-game sweep. The third most competitive 4-game sweep in NBA history in terms of point differential. Every game was single-digit game. That you didn't have a blowout. This is their first blowout of the postseason. This is what they were doing to teams. They were killing them.
This is the Rob era before he went down.
It's amazing because you had a December performance in game 1. You had December Celtics coming in hard in game 1, bad December vibes, and then this game, at least for the first half, and then enough points of the second half, was what you got used to seeing from them in the last 35 games of the regular season.
Yeah, no, this was,
and the defense. It was just the defense was just.
This was a more, how do I say, I'm happier about this win than I was upset about game 1, I think. I don't know.
Game 1, you kind of wrote it off, right? Like, they weren't ready for it. They played a shit game. You know,
they
shots
weren't
weren't falling.
They got punched in the mouth, and they just weren't ready for it. And today they punched back, and I think now we've got a series. They have to win in Milwaukee. Everyone knows that. You don't want to come back to Boston down 3-1, but I think they can. I mean, I think, again, I need to see Marcus Smart back in the series, of course. I would be surprised if it sounded like, I mean, maybe Bobby and Josue would have a better impression of what Ime said and the vibes, but it sounded like they think Smart may be ready for game 3, right? Is that something that it seems?
The general vibe was like, they thought, I mean, Ime thought yesterday he was pushing through today. So
there we go.
My guess is, I mean, it's 4 days off. I mean, it's a huge gap here, you know, till they play till Saturday.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a ridiculous gap here, but it helps them. You know, here's an Ime update. It doesn't appear anything long-term with the 3 days off. We're assuming he'll be okay for game 3.
Oh, cool. There you go.
So, yeah.
There you go, then. I'm just cruising Twitter to see if there's anything cool. Oh, you talk about Giannis at all?
Like the ridiculous, like his 11 fouls that weren't called?
Yeah, just like the whole Giannis experience tonight, I thought was so.
I know this is what you hate about Giannis. And this is the bully ball shit that makes it boring, which is like, it's like dad ball, you know, like, you know, it's like a dad playing against a bunch of little kids, and I'm just gonna.
Or you're like in the pool against like your little cousins, and you just trudge through the hoop and just dunk it over them, and just like then throw them in the deep end, sort of thing. That was like the Giannis thing. It just didn't seem much. And listen, I know he did. I know everyone's gonna jump at me. Oh, you don't get it. He does so many things. I get it. I get it. Everybody, I understand.
It's just boring. It's boring.
It's so boring. Like, give me any other superstar to watch, and I've seen them all. Not to brag, I've seen them all many times. Giannis to me is just pretty much mostly boring. Now, in the playoffs last year, he took it to another level, and on defense and the things he can do, he's called the Greek Freak for a reason. But on offense, one of the most, if not the most, boring offensive player that I can imagine in the NBA. So I'm sticking with that fact, and that is a fact by me.
Well,
so,
it just
tonight was that to a T. He didn't do one thing that impressed me tonight. Not one.
Yeah.
Not one.
I mean,
he got to the line 100 times. He sits at the line. It takes him 20 seconds to take a free throw.
Dude,
he stands at the half court line waiting. You know,
they're doing the best they could do on him. He's 20 for 52 in the series, 11 for 27 and 9 for 25 in the series here. Sub 40% field goals for a guy who does all of his damage at the rim, you know? So
all of it. They don't respect any of his outside shots. Any of them.
Of course not. I mean, that's a gimme when you have it. But this is a guy who averages, you know, friggin' 56, 57% because all of his, you know, field goals, everything's at the rim. He's shooting sub 40 right now. And that's because everything is hard. Like, they're making everything hard on him just by throwing bodies at him. So you can't do a better job on Giannis. You talk about like what the job they're doing on stars, and everybody was freaking out over what Giannis did in the first game. And maybe you just tip your hat to Giannis and he's just going to beat you. Giannis didn't beat him in game 1. He didn't.
He had a triple-double. I mean, he did. No, he
didn't. He was awesome. He was awesome. But
yeah, I mean, Holiday had a great game.
Holiday was great. They knocked down their shots, and the Celtics played like total ass. But they actually were fairly effective on Giannis, more so tonight because they played him straight up, and they just trusted their guys to just keep him in front of him, and they did. It's just, can you absorb the contact as he comes at you? And they did. You know, I mean, he's again. I ranted about this earlier. He easily had 8 fouls in this game, and I think he got called for 3.
He charges a ton. And
oh my God.
He pushes off guys all the time. I mean, listen, he's a big dude. So the slightest little, I mean, he knocked Rob on his ass pretty easily. He got Grant. Like he's knocking these big dudes down fairly, you know, but once he get and that's why you kind of have to try to stop his momentum before he gets full head of steam, because he's not going to get called for an offensive foul. It's just not going to happen. I know he got one elbow called on him from Grant. Grant got right up in him and he sort of stuck the elbow out, and Grant got him on the offensive there. But generally speaking, he gets away with that stuff. gets to the line, slows the pace of the game down. That was a huge reason the pace of the game slowed down in the second half. He was getting everything going his way. And then the refs had to freaking review everything and slow the game down. They took away any sort of momentum either team I felt like could have in that second half with the flagrant foul reviews. The one on Grayson Allen was like, dude, there's literally nothing here to review. Like,
right.
What are we doing?
It was ridiculous. But again, you're going to make Giannis work this hard for what he gets. That bodes well. The only thing I'm worried about the Celtics is, again, I know you have to. This is what Milwaukee makes you do. They want you to shoot threes, and they want the guys who they want to shoot threes shooting the threes. They want Horford threes. I guess they want Grant threes, but they're getting burned on that. They want White threes. That's what they want. They want those guys to shoot above the break threes, and you're going to have to knock them down to win this series, and I get it. It's hard to get into the paint against these guys. Celtics definitely just have to make sure that they're not doing the one pass shoot thing on offense. As long as they're working the ball around, they're fine. And
how about that one where they found Al like under the basket with like the shot clock just about to expire? That was an unbelievable.
Tatum,
that looked like the Harlem Globetrotters out there at one point.
Tatum last second friggin' floated it to Al underneath. That was great.
Yeah, and I just tossed it up, and it was like, look like they were playing the Washington Generals.
That was great stuff. That's what they have to do. They stagnated a little bit. It still worries me because Celtics are not a great shooting team, and if they are going to rely on that stuff, there are days where you do move the ball well and you get the good shots and they still don't drop. So you got to figure out a way to solve them a little bit and get into the paint a little bit more. I don't know that it's sustainable to be scoring 20 and 25 points in the paint. And win the series with that. So they still have to crack it a little bit. But again, great movement. People are here kind of talking about Rob's mid-range. Love seeing Rob drill a jumper. Like he forgot that he's allowed to shoot.
Dude, we were seeing that.
I want to challenge. I want to challenge with more Rob lobs too. I dare Lopez to get up with him on those things. Okay, throw it up there and make Lopez go up there and try to defend it. He can't. He's not getting up. He's not taking the elevator up to whatever floor Rob's going on. They did it one time. Actually, one of White's best plays of the game, that alley-oop to Rob that he threw from behind the 3-point line. That he went up, got, and Lopez had to hack the shit out of him. I'd like to see a little bit more. I want to see Rob get involved a little bit more.
Oh, for sure. And they kind of, I didn't see him really much at all in the fourth. Is that just me not paying attention, or?
No, he was in there.
Yeah, but I thought did they not take him out late, or like midway
they did?
through?
I think they
went with Horford and Grant, I think, like down the stretch.
It was Horford, Grant, the Jays, and Pritchard was in that closing lineup there.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, but when I'm looking at Rob out there, I'm just looking to see if he's hindered at all. And I don't see it. I don't see him limping. I don't see him hesitant. Like, he got up there for a nice block at one point. I forget who it was on. Was it Giannis, maybe? I think it was. And then they're slowly working him in. But if he can start taking a couple maybe like 12, 15 footers, really start to take it to the next level, wouldn't that be something?
Come on.
He did. He airballed once tonight at the shot clock. I'm not going to count that against him. He didn't. That wasn't a Rob. That wasn't a shot that he typically would have taken.
Let's bring in our man Bobby. What's up, Bobby?
Oh boy, the glasses are up.
Bobby, we already gave the brownie to Grant.
Yes, well deserved.
We gave the whole enchilada, John. Don't forget.
Was this
Bobby,
his best game ever?
You can make that case.
Yeah, I mean, between what he did on Giannis, the shooting.
As I said, is just you put up his offensive numbers, and you're like, wow, great game, and that wasn't even the best part of his game.
Yeah, I mean, their goal coming into this game was to play more on an island. That's how Grant described it against Giannis, not doubling as much. A lot of those, sneak-ins, showing extra pressure in there, cost them threes. And in this game, they stayed home on those shooters. The double teams disappeared on Giannis, and Grant, Horford, those guys were able to hold it down one-on-one against them. And you see the result. Bucks shot 16% from three. They held it down on the perimeter, and those guys were able to survive inside. It was sort of the same deal as how they were guarding Durant. They really need to bring in and pinch the lane. They did that with Rob, and they did it well. But on the perimeter, you were basically able to guard him one-on-one and stop him
straight
one-on-one.
up. Yep.
Yeah, and that was the game plan.
And I like that. I think, and they were able to do it. And it takes individual performances to be able to do that stuff, and they got it.
Yes, they're so strong, and that's really what it is. They're able to front him, not get bodied. You see Brown and Tatum trying to rotate onto him. They're getting knocked down.
It's not the same.
Even Rob. Yeah, Rob's getting bodied in there too.
It takes the beef. Both Grant and Horford have enough lateral quickness and enough strength. That's what it takes with Giannis. The other guys, you're right. Jaylen got tossed out of the way one time where he switched on to Giannis. It wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Rob just loses the body battle. And when they just go up together, Rob
ended up fouling a lot too.
Yeah, so. he gets blown. He gets just blown off it because Giannis is too physical. He does okay, but you're right. Those other two guys are so much better at it.
Yeah,
but I'd rather it be Rob than either of the Jays. They really struggle with Giannis's physicality. It's not a fair fight.
Well, a smart move too was going to the triple big lineup: Grant, Rob, Horford, and then you essentially have three options with help in there. Yeah, it was upsize rather than downsizing.
Yeah, you can't triple big a double big, Bobby.
Well, they did it. Bucks did it to start game one.
I haven't seen that movie.
Celtics
Lloyd.
Ime, you can't triple big and double big.
Well, I asked Ime pregame. I was like, what are you gonna do? Because you don't have Smart in there to downsize. You can't go into those Smart white lineups. You don't really have an extra wing to throw out there to go triple wing. So they essentially moved Grant to the 3 to play the minutes that they were missing with Smart out there, and it worked. Guard minutes didn't work as well. I thought Pritchard had an okay game. Derek White was more on the bad end. It's a good start, really rough middle portion, then disappeared late.
Easy.
So, yeah, Grant filled not only the Rob minutes in there at the 4 a lot of the time, but also the guard minutes they were missing playing the 3. So, just you can't say enough about his performance. Jaylen's start, half the story, I think, in this one. The other 50%, and yes, the brownie, I think, well-deserved, is Grant Williams.
Actually, what Jimmy said is Grant might actually be too good for the brownie. Meaning, like the origins of the brownie were kind of like the unsung hero. Grant was not an unsung hero. He was the friggin' MVP of this game.
And the first round series, so maybe he's ascending. And it's funny because you throw him in the starting lineup and you're like, all right, can we get this level of impact out of him? And it doesn't usually go well. Bring him off the bench and he's and yeah. Oh, you're giving Brown the brownie. That's
no. I'm gonna give Brown I think Brown may have been slightly more important than
oh, definitely. That cushion he gave them in the first half was huge because the Bucks cut the lead from it was 25 at its biggest and it got down to 12, right? At the closest. So that 25-point cushion he gave them in the first half there was vital, especially in the first quarter. Built a double-digit lead that the Bucks were just working back from that point on. So that was the most important factor, definitely. Everything else was just solidifying what he established early on there, and it's great to see him get back to that. Vague talk of his hamstring again. Ime didn't really get into it, but you did see him go into it again. Taken out with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter for that closing stretch. They said it was because he was up to 38 at that point and played a long stretch in the second half, but have to imagine something was bothering him there. We haven't talked to him yet. He'll be coming out post-game, but it's still lingering. And now you got Smart injured, so there are some concerns coming out of a really good victory here for them. A good thing is 3 days off heading out to Milwaukee. They'll need that badly.
Yeah, Bobby, I mean, I said this earlier. It didn't seem like – I know that we saw Brown maybe grab the hamstring in that fourth quarter there, but it didn't seem like it was bothering him during the game. Like, it didn't seem like it affected his play, certainly, at any point. I mean, he was hitting shots all over the court. He was, doing the typical Jaylen Brown ball handling that we see. He put Grayson Allen on his ass. He drove to the hoop. I mean, I didn't really see anything that made me worry about Jaylen Brown tonight.
Maybe the 0 points in the third. He did.
Yeah, but I mean, we see how many times have we seen that though? He gets hot in the first quarter and he kind of slows down.
But that's what I can't stand. You just, it's just you want to see it. I don't know why we have to count on that being the case. He had 25 in the first half and 5 in the second half. That's a disappearing act. You don't, even if it's like you don't want 25 and 25, but 25 and 10, just more involved. He just wasn't he didn't get very many shots up in the second half at all. He was just less a part of the game.
Well, the second half was rough for the whole team, I thought.
Whole team. They got it was too much ISO or one pass and shot. They got away from what they were doing in the first half for sure.
And Ime said that the Bucks stopped closing out as hard, which was part of it too. I mean, the up fakes that the Celtics threw out there in the first half had them in the rafters. I mean, it was insane how aggressive the Bucks played on the perimeter in that first half, and they were so easy to go by. Lopez ended up in foul trouble because of how hard guys were going downhill at him, and it opened up the paint for the Celtics. I don't know what Milwaukee was doing in terms of like the three guys sometimes Grant talked about chasing the ball to the perimeter. They had success with it, I guess, in game one, crowding Tatum and really making him fire out passes and making guys shoot. But in game two, it flips and the Celtics shoot 47% from three. So they're going to live with that. But how long do they keep letting the Celtics do that, especially when they're getting more shooters on the floor now between Horford, Pritchard, and Grant? There's always talk about Bud. When's he going to adjust? When's he going to kind of break out of what he's doing going into a series? And you wonder how close the Celtics are going to get eventually to making him do that. I think
What do you think he's going to do? What's Bud going to do?
He's going to stick with it. You know, they're going to keep dropping. They're going to keep crowding the ball handlers, and they're going to keep letting the Celtics shoot threes. I mean, this is their MO.
That's what they do.
Right up there with Miami. They let teams shoot the most threes in the league. So that's what the Celtics took. They got good quality ones. They went to the mid-range more often and shot 48% from two, which was important as well. But they created some high-quality threes, especially for Grant. And Grant, I mean, how poised is he out there on that line? Up faking multiple times, passing out of there. Sometimes getting downhill, getting a little opportunistic, trying to attack the center one-on-one. I don't think he may likes that as much, but he's definitely in control in those corner spots and making great plays, whether it's him shooting or him passing out of those spots.
Right.
And that's the key. Like, how big of an outlet is he for Tatum right now? I mean, when Tatum's in trouble, he can grant and trust that something good's going to happen over there at that second level.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, my dog. Yeah, no, I mean, there's not a thing you can say about Grant we haven't said already. Like, he's reliable at this point. It's no longer like good Grant game. They actually need him.
Totally need him.
They're counting on him. They need him. And they'd be
actually happy to see him in there.
Yeah, they'd be screwed right now if he wasn't playing the way he was playing.
Like, there were a couple of points I was like, oh my God, they left Grant open for that shot. What idiots. You know, like, how do you not know? You can't leave him like Pat Connaughton. You can't come off Grant in the corner, dude. Like, didn't you watch any film this year?
And it was funny, Jimmy, because there was another point where they left Tatum alone to go get Grant. So they were overcompensating to get after him out there. And it's been that progression throughout the season, right? We all remember that game where LeBron was just sitting in the paint, letting Grant stand out there. And it slowly worked to the point where sometimes two guys are going after him in the corner there. That progression from that, I think that was in December that they played the Lakers there in the Garden, to what kind of pressure he's getting now and able to attack closeouts out of. It's unreal. Like, this year for Grant it's one of the top 3 to 5 stories on the team this season. It's unreal. And 5 guys behind the basket on the Bucks side, all in orange shirts. I don't know if you saw it on the TV broadcast. Had Grant. I mean, just talk about something that you could just never imagine a year ago. I mean, 1 year ago they were eliminated, but that Brooklyn series, he wasn't even in the game. You couldn't play him.
Yeah.
And now he's the X factor.
Yeah, now, like you said, he's somebody that you may went to him right away in this one.
He was more important than Rob in this one. Rob, they had to go to him over Rob.
I mean, if for some reason Marcus Smart,
you needed him in the second half because the offense had stagnated so badly. You needed a shooter out there. It got a little tight the way they were playing.
And you want to hold it down defensively on him too. Always just starts. Giannis is attacking Rob when he's in the game, which is a problem. But Rob's making plays. I mean, in game one, I sent you guys a stat. The Bucks shot over 11 against Rob, so he's still impacting the game as a shot alterer in the paint, if that's what you call it. He's altering shots inside. That's how he's making his impact. But Ime still getting on these guys. You're missing Rob. Pass to Rob, please. Someone get him the ball. Alley-oop. Dump off. Right. He's out there.
Is he saying that?
Yes. He told me pregame it was glaring how often they missed Rob. And he said it again postgame. They forget
he's out there. It's
5
crazy.
shots in 25 minutes. Too low.
Yeah, they're not looking for him as much. Like it reminds me of 2 years ago when we were like, get Rob the ball more. This guy is like a physical
Some of it's on
specimen
him
out
though
there.
too, right? He's got to command
Oh,
it
yeah.
because when he
Yeah,
gets asked
absolutely.
about it, he's like, "Oh, I just got to get more free."
Well, Tatum was getting a lot better at finding him and looking for him, and I wonder
Smart's
if
the
now.
guy though. He's
Yeah,
the
that's a
guy
good
who's
point.
been looking for him all year,
Yeah,
and you
that's
miss that.
smart.
He's still their best passer, even with how Tatum's advanced, and you get contributions from other guys. Smart knows where guys' spots are, whether it's a pocket pass, the lob, kickouts in the right spots. It's amazing that they passed as well as they did tonight without Smart. And when I saw he was out for this game, I wasn't devastated just because of the fact that you need shooting. And when he's not on the ball, he's not a great shooting option, catch and shoot wise. So filling that in with Pritchard and Grant wasn't the worst thing in the world. But you never imagine that second quarter passing that they were pulling off without Smart out there. And I do give White a little bit of credit for that, John. Even though he didn't have a great game, he was part of those passing sequences.
We said it. He keeps it moving. And it becomes it's important for the team because it doesn't stick in his hands, you know, and then everyone else kind of does it too. So yes, he keeps the ball moving, even if he's not the one creating. And you know, I know he had a handful of assists there, but yeah, he keeps the ball moving. He's not going to sit there and dribble the air out of it.
He just can't score right now from anywhere.
No, I know, but you can't say that.
Oh, it was brutal. And you know what? Credit B-Rob, who did write the first, I don't want to call it a hit piece, but piece that was a little more critical of White. I was holding out on it. I wasn't going to say anything, but he finally did. I'm surprised John wasn't the first to do it, but he's got to be better. I
do it here. He's just got to do something.
John hit publish.
I just I publish with my mouth here every night.
Jason's coming to the podium. I'm sure Jaylen will be short behind him. So Josue will be back from the Bucks soon, and I will be back as well.
Okay, Bobby, we might not be here, but you go do your thing, buddy.
All right, there's my report. Check out Celtics All Access. Josue and I, maybe a friend, whoever's around, we'll be doing our Garden report on the court.
What? Jimmy has something.
Well, no, Bobby. I mean, you're going to Milwaukee. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, there you go, folks. You're gonna get Milwaukee Bobby
and Josue and Sherrod. We got a lot of Milwaukee.
And Josue and Sherrod. Wait, what about me?
You went tonight.
The fight, Jimmy.
I never get.
Oh, you enjoyed the game here tonight.
Never get to leave home.
All right. It's a mile trek to the press room. I'll see you guys.
All right,
Bobby. Sherrod Blakely, people are asking tonight, has a personal matter, not a bad one, but something he had to attend to, pre-scheduled, did not cover the game, but he will be covering the Milwaukee games. People asking where Sherrod is. Josue and Bobby obviously are covering the press conferences, and Jimmy and I are holding this down hard hat style here.
Does anybody ever ask, when I'm not on a show, John, does anybody ever ask where I am, or is it just kind of like
all the time? Where's the hot guy?
Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
People always ask. I know when I'm not on the show, people say like, "Oh, good," but that's fine.
Like, oh, finally, the other guys get to talk.
that clown isn't here.
When you're on the show, it's just rainbows and butterflies for an hour, dude. I mean, you would hate it. You would not want to watch our show.
Puppy dogs and ice cream. So good stuff here. So let me ask you this: which is more emblematic of the matchup, game 1 or game 2? What's closer to what you see? Because Milwaukee's going to be as bad as game 1 was. This was a blowout. Milwaukee's got to be sitting on the other side being like, ugh. You know, I know you always say like, oh, we got 1 out of 2. We did our job. Now we got to go home and take care of business, blah, blah, blah. So you put the positive spin on it. But, you know, as yucky as the Celtics probably felt after game 1, being dominated and outplayed and like made the look as bad as they looked, that's how the Celtics made Milwaukee look tonight. They made them look bad. And Milwaukee's got to feel pretty shitty about it.
You got a pretty, like, I mean, did Drew Holiday even, like, for as
bad shooting game
1, like, he was pretty non-existent in game 2. It's a good question. What is more real? I guess, what can you expect going forward? This Celtics team tonight reminded me of the Celtics that I've seen a lot lately. So, like, this is the Celtics.
That's what we got used to.
See. Yeah.
The team that makes the other teams look
very
bad.
Surprising.
Right.
Game 1 Celtics was very surprising, and I got to give the Bucks some credit for that, obviously. But I mean, and I haven't watched a ton of Bucks games this year.
We all picked the Celtics because of tonight. Because we're like, these are the efforts you're used to seeing and you're like, they're going to make life really hard on Milwaukee, and that's what they do. You just didn't expect them to be so bad offensively in game one, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you asked me the
86.
question. Remember, you asked me the question, and then you cut me off and you answered the question.
But I want to know what you think.
Yeah, but then you actually don't want to know what I think.
I do want to know what you think.
Okay. Now I forget what I think because I had to.
Which one's closer? Which one's closer?
Yeah, I think game 2 is closer. But that being said, that doesn't mean that I think it's going to be blowouts galore. I think that the Celtics are I picked the Celtics to win because I think they're the better team. I do think that Chris Middleton out, and let's not forget Chris Middleton is out for this Bucks team. I'm expecting him to remain out. Some people think that he might come back, and maybe after a night like tonight, maybe the Bucks say, "Hey, buddy, how you feeling? You ready to go? You ready to go?" But I think that this Celtics team, when they're on like they were tonight, can outmatch, can outplay just about everybody in this league, especially in the East. So I think tonight's a better representation of where this series can go. You got 30 from Tatum, you got 30 from Brown, essentially, right? And those are the guys that have been leading the way. And you did it all without Marcus Smart. So if you can get Smart back, and even if he can give you 75% of Marcus Smart, that's pretty damn good, if you're the Celtics. So do I expect 20-plus point wins going forward? Absolutely not. But I don't expect them to come out as flat and as they just got pushed around in game one. That was my main takeaway from game one, is they would just look like they were getting bullied out there at recess. And tonight they came back and they fought back. So I think tonight's a much better example of what you should see going forward.
I kind of tend to agree too, and it's not like just a homer take. I just think it's like I said, is like you said, this is what we got used to, right? This type of Celtics effort. What you can't count on is the shooting, and that's where kind of the series swings a little bit. I don't think you can count on the Bucks going 3 for 18 from 3 only. That's ridiculous. Nor can you count on the Celtics to knock down 23s or whatever it was they had tonight. That's not what were this 20 for 43. That's that's a lot. It balances out between game 1 and 2, but again, that's really what it comes down to is, who's hitting those shots, because they're going to be there. And the Celtics hit them tonight, and that was that made the difference, obviously.
Sure.
But again, the reason we always think the Celtics have a puncher's chance, and shit, as bad as they were in game 1, they were still not fully connected and a little bit out of sync on defense. They still were within striking distance for almost the entire game, playing like total ass. Just because their defense is still going to muck it up for the other team. It's still going to make it challenging enough that keeps you in the game. That's why they'll stay in any game, even if they go completely ice cold. But yeah, again, 47% from 3 is asking a lot.
No, that's exactly it. Game 1 was so frustrating because they could just not get anything going on offense. Everyone was just,
you felt like one run
go
could
on
have
a
changed
little
it.
run, just going on, get it to 4. Like Giannis comes out of the game, they have a chance to close out the end of the third quarter, and they do nothing with it in the game 1. It's like that was the frustrating part of game 1. It wasn't that they weren't trying or they weren't playing hard on defense. Like you said, they were always just annoyingly close enough where you hung around and watched, and you just got more and more frustrated because they couldn't close the gap and go on get any sort of momentum going at all in that game. Tonight was a completely different story. They rode momentum from the very beginning, and they for 48 minutes they just kept it to them. There were tons of moments in that game where fans were up on their feet and rip roaring, and I didn't think that happened probably at all in game 1. I can't even remember a time where the Garden was, or anyone really was fired up at any point during that game. So, yeah, like you said, John, do you expect 3 for 18 from the Bucks? Absolutely not. Do you expect the Celtics, to win by 20 plus? No, but I think tonight was a better representation of where this series can go. And that again was without Marcus Smart. I like the Celtics' chances moving forward in this series. They have to take one in Milwaukee. I think they can. I think Game 3 is going to be a toss-up. I think the Bucks are probably going to be slight favorites maybe in that game because they're home, but it's going to be close. I know if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be betting against the Celtics in this series at any point.
Where were your seats tonight, Jimmy?
Club seats. We got them as a company tickets.
Yeah?
We got it. So,
It's
section Club 111, like pretty much, I think, my phone died, but pretty much half court, I'll be honest. They were pretty baller seats, I'm not going to lie. So typically I don't sit in those seats. I don't want people to think that I'm this, yuppie fan or anything, but we got the tickets and had a good time.
Is Papa Toscano a feisty fan? Does he yell?
He gets fired. He keeps it in line by outstretch. He's he'll cheer when it's called for. He'll jump in on the. I don't think he was cheering the Grayson Allen chant that some of the fans were. I don't know if you guys could hear it on the TV. There was a "F.U. Grayson" chant going around the garden that was pretty loud and proud. He didn't get it on that level, but we'll get out there.
Did you wear the hard hat in the club? People,
I did not wear the hard hat tonight. I wanted to sort of lay low. I was in club seats. I gotta act like I don't think I can walk around in hard hat in the club seats. Put it this way, hard hat guys, find those guys in the balcony, with the real. I'll bring the hard hat to the balcony with the real fans. That's kind of how I treat the hard hat. But
barely noticed Grayson Allen tonight.
I don't want to wear the hard hat. The hard hat is a post game. It's a post game hat. I don't put the hard hat on. At least I haven't put the hard hat on during games.
Yeah,
hard hat on after wins.
The talking about the contribution the Celtics got from Grant, obviously off the bench. Just look at Connaughton shot the ball pretty well, but Allen, we were just talking about him, was a total friggin' no-show. And Wes Matthews started 30 minutes, friggin' invisible. I don't remember a thing.
I was thinking the same.
I don't remember a thing Wes Matthews did. Nothing.
He was a horrible plus minus tonight. He had, I think, 4 points. But
I don't remember a thing he did.
Was guarding. He was guarding. I think he was guarding Tatum at points. Like he did his best. But yeah, like offensively, he was really no
nothing. And that's kind of what we were talking about. Like
he's being thrust into this role because that's a Middleton. That's typically Middleton. So
yeah,
I mean they're thin too.
This was a game where you could feel it, and that's the thing.
I thought he was solid defensively on Tatum. He made it like a little bit difficult for him, especially in like that first half there. But yeah, I mean,
just too much dribbling from Tatum. Too much dribbling.
Yeah,
dribble. Just attack those friggin' guys, man. Rise up, and shoot it right up and over them. They cannot defend him.
Yeah,
they can't. Yeah, I mean, I know Holiday's on there and he's checking him from time to time, and they're bothering him, and there's help coming over, but.
He's like, dude, you're Jason.
You still haven't unlocked the one good news here, Jimmy, is they still haven't. Tatum hasn't been unleashed yet. He's still feeling his way out. How do I score? Where am I scoring from this series? Like, how am I attacking this? He's still kind of getting his bearings. I think he's due for.
He was frustrated tonight too. I think he let the emotions at times get to him a little bit out there, but. He hit his shots. I mean, listen, he had a little bit of a rough stretch. I think you said it in the text. Like he was kind of hurting them a bit in that second half. Just trying to do a little too much.
Yeah, he killed the flow. He was dribbling too much, got stuck in ISO, slowed it down. When the Bucks set up their defense in the half court, you're like I said, you're playing into their hands. You got to keep that moving. You got to keep the pace going. The pace slowed to a crawl in the second half. But again, hit the shots that mattered. And that's that when it got a little close there, he had those 2 relocated threes, and then Grant knocked one down. Ball game, it was over. So that did what he had to do. And he's due for one of those.
We'll get the Tatum game.
Games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, he's earned that belief that that's going to happen. The way he's played the last second half of this season, last series, I think everyone knows that. What Jason Tatum's capable of, and he's done it in the playoffs before too. So it's not like he's shying away from the moment. He's certainly capable of that. They didn't need heroics tonight, down the stretch. They needed just to execute. You came out of the second half, you just couldn't play terrible basketball, and you were going to win this game. That was it. I mean, I'm not saying that was their mindset, but that was essentially it. Just don't play terrible when you win this game. And they didn't play terrible. They played fine in the second half. Again, it's the NBA. You're not going to jump out to 25-point lead and hold it from start to finish without a little bit of hiccups on the way. But this is a well-fought, earned win. A game that they probably do blow in the beginning of this regular season, 20 double-digit point lead. So I'm happy with it. And this is something that they can build on over the next 3 days. You want to have some momentum going into into Game 3. We're gonna have some good mojo, some good juju in the training facility for the next couple days. Get a little momentum going, feeling good. Got the win under there. Once you see the win, once you see it,
you see a path. Yeah.
Believe it.
Oh, that's how you beat them. Right. Now we've got a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference. Josue and Bobby, as we said, are kind of digging in there in their interviews. Give you one more shout out to our sponsor, HelloFresh. Fresh meals delivered to your door. It's pre-packaged. Everything is set. Fresh vegetables, fresh meats, recipe cards, up to 50 recipes you can choose from every single week. And
50.
You just got to make it, and it's easy as can be. Everything's portioned out. Everything's perfect. You just put it together. Please go to hellofresh.com/playoffs16. The Celtics have 5 wins. They need 16.
Hold on. Don't tell me.
Someone else will figure it out. Playoff 16. hellofresh.com/playoff16. Use the code playoff16. That's how we get credit for the sale. That's how they know it came from us. That's how you help us support our sponsors.
That's how you get 16 free meals.
That's how you get 16 free meals. So if you guys are interested in doing it, please go through this URL, hellofresh.com/playoff16, and give it a shot. What do you have to lose? It's a terrific deal. Watch the playoffs, chill out. Let people send the food to you. You don't shop, you don't chop, you don't dice, you don't prep. They send you the meal and you cook it, and it's delicious home cooked meals.
You chop a little bit. You do chop a little bit. You do chop a little bit, but hey, it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. You get a little chop in there. Little chop.
Anyway, that's all we need, guys. So again,
nothing crazy.
Yes. Again, please go check that out. Support our sponsors, hellofresh.com/playoffs16. Once again, Celtics beat the Milwaukee Bucks 109-86, convincing. Got out to a 25-point lead in the second half. Pretty much just kind of kept them at bay. I mean, in the first half, kept them at bay. In the second half, first half, Jimmy, as you said, one of the best we've seen all season.
Yeah.
Really complete, both ends of the floor. Frustrated the hell out of Giannis. Defense was on point. Knocked down their shots. That was it. They just, choked the life out of them early, and this game was over. So great bounce back after that ugly first game. 3 days off. Jaylen's hammies, Marcus's thigh, all of that stuff. Let's hope we're in a little bit better shape there. No chance of Middleton returning. I know some people were asking in the chat. He's basically been ruled out for the entire series. So hopefully the Celtics get themselves right here.
Not celebrating an injury. It's just to help.
I know. Get at least one of these in Milwaukee and get it going again. Thank you guys for hanging out again. Yeah. What?
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. We're not going to wait for
those. Done. I didn't know we're done. Jason Tatum tonight, Josue's tweet. We were pissed off in how we played last game from top to bottom. We knew we just had to play better. Simple as that in every aspect of the game. So, yeah, 1-1, get some rest, see what we can do better. That's kind of the mindset here. They all knew that they did not come to play in game 1.
Yeah. There it is.
How we played. That sums it up. I guess Tatum has a wrap on his left wrist / hand. But it sounds like he said it's a little excessive. That's why I look like that. It just felt a little, just trying to keep the swelling down. So
what's swelling?
He said he got hit in the wrist. Jason Tatum got hit in the wrist. He's got a little wrap on his wrist right now, but it's nothing to be concerned about. Although it is wrapped and it's relatively large apparently.
Okay. That's that. All right, let's head in there. Let's get one in Milwaukee at least, maybe 2. We'll keep some of our.
You're gonna do 2.
We'll keep some of our Celtics in 5 predictions alive.
True.
Yeah, still alive.
Still alive.
Celtics in 5 is still alive.
I have been 6, but I'll take 5. I'll be wrong.
Yeah. So that's it. They win. We're gonna wrap it. Thanks to Jimmy, Josue, and Bobby, who are working at the Garden right now, getting those interviews. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels if you haven't already. Check out our Celtics All Access channels for all our post-game reports coming out of the Garden. Jimmy and Josue with what they've learned, from their Bobby and Josue.
I'm Jimmy.
Yep. And that's it. That's it for us, guys. Again, thanks for hanging out.
We'll see you Saturday. A little Saturday evening, maybe a couple of beers.
Is it a 3:30 game?
3:30 start on Saturday. Yeah,
It's a tough one.
I know it's a tough time. I'm actually I might miss some of that game, but I will be back in time for the show, I think. So,
Okay.
For you guys, for every one of you guys who
let's get two in Milwaukee. Thank you guys again. We do appreciate it. Everybody active in the chat, even the haters.
Appreciate the haters.
Even the people who think we're dumb. I don't mind. We don't mind. We like it.
Agree.
We like it. We know. Keep it coming. Thank you guys.
The first time I've heard it.
Yeah. Good night, all.